Lucas, and welcome to our Tech Essay, where the estate shape starts finding out another conversation explores beyond our thinking, beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. He's a filmmaker, photographer, and business owner, and of course, an author too, and the author of a new book, Seeing Red, no other than Mr. Stewart Cohen.
Hey Daniel, how are you? Good to
Uh,
see you.
Good to see you once again, Mr. Stewart. I'm fabulous, fabulous, and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
And
Oh,
to you. And to you.
bountiful New Year. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
Absolutely. Hey all, my name is Stewart Cohen. I'm a visual artist, commercial filmmaker, and photographer based in Dallas, Texas. Canadian, living in Texas, and living a life.
Living a life for sure. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. And tell us your new book, Seeing Red. What is it all about?
Well, it's a photo book, and it's about the myth of redheads going extinct, which is kind
Mm-hmm.
of funny because somebody who worked with me here at the studio was a redhead, very
Yes.
fiery redhead. And he walked up to me one day and he said, "We're going to be extinct." And I'm like, "Who's we?" And he said, "Redheads." And I said, "Oh, well, then if we have to do something about that." So, so of course, it doesn't take much for a creative artist to just find a reason to do a project. And that's all it took for me. I remember the morning very distinctly. And so what I came up with, I don't know if you want to lead into it, but I could tell you the concept.
Go ahead.
I came up with the whole theme
Mm-hmm.
on if a if a species is going to go extinct. When you see animals and stuff like that, people tend to frame them and put them on the wall to remember them by. So what I did is we created a frame, and everybody stood in that one frame, and they all stood the same way. And so what I wanted to do is just get a kind of a visual history of what redheads are, from guys and girls and kids. And um, and then our graphic designer, who was fantastic, a company here in Texas actually called Caliber Design, and a designer named Brandon Murphy, who's super talented. He really dug in and found every interesting aspect about redheads. He had a redhead daughter. So when you look through the book, every little bit is on there.
Every single red is in there for sure. It's so
All the
titled.
sayings, all the sayings,
Mhm.
people say, I should get a book. I don't have one in front of me because I forgot we were going.
No worries at all, Mr. Stewart. So the title "Seeing Red" is visceral. What does this phrase mean to you in the context of the book, beyond just a metaphor of anger? Is it
Sorry,
anger?
say that again.
So what is the other mean to you? Why you entitled it "Seeing Red"?
I felt like that was a good title because it was all about redheads. The book is all red. It's all certain facts about redheads. Um, so we bounced around a bunch of different ideas, and we came up with Seeing Red. So there's not a lot of deep thought behind it, quite honestly, Daniel.
It's not anger.
There's no oh, no, 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 no anger whatsoever. No anger whatsoever.
Okay,
No,
that's it.
actually, I don't have any redheads in my family, but after meeting all these redheads and talking to them and interviewing them, you know, um, it made me really appreciate redheads. And now everywhere I go, I see redheads.
So, how did you relate missing red into your life?
Well, it became a part of my life because it took a year to create and shoot. And actually, all these people in the book, have become friends. And actually, to that point, this young girl that's on the cover, she was one of the earliest pictures we took, and she's a
Hmm.
little couple. She's about a year or two older now, so she's going to come into the studio next week and kind of hold the book, so I could get a picture of her on the book cover as well as what she looks like today.
Wow, interesting. And do you think there will be a follow up for Seeing Red?
Not so much on the redhead book. Maybe if somebody asked. So one thing that happened, Daniel, is I was invited to become the official photographer of Redhead Day in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
which was really fun. So we went to London and we set up, and we were in a big studio all day, and they had this huge gathering, and we probably photographed 50 people that day of all shapes and sizes. It was really, really fun. So the hope is, we could continue to do that. I know there's a Redhead Day in the Netherlands,
Mm-hmm.
um, but we'll see how that goes.
So nowadays, if they said it creates or they said it's about anger, how would you relate that thought?
No, I don't think there's any anger. I think it's really tongue in cheek. So the whole thing, Daniel, is the myth of redheads. It's an urban legend that redheads are going to become extinct. But actually, once I went online on the internet, you do a little searching, it's really not going to happen. They're not
Mhm.
going anywhere. There are plenty of redheads, which is great for the world. Great for the world.
Yes, let's continue their species because they are one of a kind. Having redhead is something else.
Did you know that
Mm-hmm.
redheads can withstand a lot more pain than other people? That
Oh wow.
and sometimes, like when they're going in for surgery, they need to get more of a anesthesia, which I learned.
Mhm.
And there's a lot, yeah. And then the other interesting thing I learned is, a lot of kids when they're young and they have redhead, they don't like their red hair because they thinks they stand out. And as they get older, they start to appreciate it more. And then when they get older, what I found with some of the older people is it starts to fade a bit. So really, they should embrace it because it's awesome.
Yes, they're unique for sure.
Indeed.
So, Mr. Stewart, what was the pivotal moment of your photography book that became a catalyst that exploring this specific approach of yours?
Well, I think doing books is something on the personal level. I'm a commercial artist, and as we've discussed previously, how do you make a lifestyle being in the arts? And being a commercial artist, I get projects from ad agencies and companies, and we're executing their concepts. So one thing that I found important to do was to create personal projects that help fuel my commercial work. So it's a whole, you got to create your world. And if you only do creative work that is actually someone else's vision, you may get stale. So one thing I've always tried to do is continue to do my own personal work.
And looking forward for more success, Mr. Steven. What are you doing right now?
Well,
So, yeah.
well. Funny you
Mm-hmm.
should ask, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
We are working on our next books, and there was just somebody here in town last week who was helping me edit to kind of go through my work to try to find a thread to see what will be the best next project that will resonate. I've
Okay.
started a couple of different projects, and being an artist, like I always have multiple projects in the works. And sometimes they continue for a couple years, sometimes they die off because I don't think they're relevant enough. So that's the process we're in right now. I think We have a couple bodies of work that just need a little bit of tweaking to be ready to print next, in the next year.
Hmm. So, Mr. Stewart, seeing red often, happens in relationships. How can your framework help these relationship relating to your photo book seeing red?
Well, what do you mean? I don't understand the relationships. You're really caught on seeing red like being anger, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not anger. No, no, no. That has no concept, Daniel. This is really look for redheads, seeing the redheads. We're happy to be there, happy, you need to embrace redheads in your life.
So, how would you market redhead nowadays in this busy world?
Well, I think that it's really a fun book that a photography lover would like, that a redhead would like, or
Mm-hmm.
that anyone that knows a redhead would like, because I think that it's a perfect gift book for any redhead out there. If you have a redhead in your family, or if you have a redhead child or a redhead boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, it would be a great book to add to your collection. Great gift book for that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, what is the common mistake people make when trying to, tell something about redhead that is not against your opinion?
Oh, I don't know. I think there's a lot of myths, out there about redheads. And, like in the old days, like they thought they were witches. And, there have been a lot of myths through the years. And the truth is, it's just a gene that people are lucky enough to be a redhead. But it has produced a lot of very, very interesting people, and some really interesting, interesting jokes and comments, and things like that.
Hmm. Yes. So, how would you, or in a world of saturated with image, what does focusing tightly on a single color allow you to say that the broader palette could not, just like the red?
Well, I think in this world of so much out there, as you're saying,
Mm-hmm.
I think the narrowing it down to a niche is really where we have to go, because nothing appeals to everybody. So to me, this is a fun project. It's a fun book that just this narrow slice of society will appreciate and like.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
And a photo book is a physical object.
it
And
is.
how did the design, paper choice, and layout work enhance the experience of seeing red?
Well, I think that's something that people will really enjoy. As I mentioned, Brandon Murphy of Caliber Design did the book and chose some really special papers. We found a really good printer offshore, um, and it was in China, right, kind of near Guangzhou, and they print a lot of Phaidon books also, which are really well-known fine art books. And this was right before the tariffs took place, so we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to deal with any tariffs on printing and shipping. But so what we were able to do is print a very, very high quality, glossy pages, really nice thick paper stock, and do it for a reasonable price. Because one thing that I know as a consumer and a photographer is, if you want people to get your book, it can't be that expensive. A lot of times these photo books, these fine art books, are $60 or $70. And we did some research, and we found that, like, not to go over $40, and that makes it accessible to a lot of people. So that's we kind of work toward keeping the book in that price point.
So, Mr. Stewart, how did you approach sequencing the images? Is there a hidden emotional or thematic arc you're guiding to the viewer through from the first page to the last?
There actually is, Daniel, and I think I should send you, and maybe I could send you after this, and you could insert it into the show notes. something with like a book tease where the pages turn, so
Mm-hmm.
that way you could see it. And again, that a lot of that happened with the help of Brandon Murphy, the graphic designer, who we had a huge board up and we printed every page and we laid it out. And what we wanted to do is not so people wouldn't get bored of just seeing redhead, redhead, redhead.
Mm-hmm.
We had some illustrations done and some writings done. Some famous quotes from redheads are in the book. Some famous quotes about redheads are in the book. So it really makes it a page turner. And like I was saying, is I created this frame that everybody stood in, and that was for the people that we photographed in Texas. And then when we were in the United Kingdom in London, we didn't have our big frame with us. So actually, we photographed the people there on white, so it's all uniform. So that way, it makes it so the pages turn nicely. It's a good flow.
Were there any images you love but ultimately had to cut because they are disrupted the visual rhythm or messages of the book?
I mean, Dan, I think there are always pictures that don't make it. I think on this project, most of them made it. I mean, we had so many fun ones, and I think what we did. Some of them with some of the women with long hair, we actually even approached it like a fashion shoot, like a hair shoot. So we had hair blowing, and so just to create some change, some visual change and fun. So we did use a lot of photos, and a lot of times Brandon, the graphic designer, he would make them a little smaller, just so he could put sequences on a page and to keep the visual rhythm happy and fun.
Mr. Carl Stewart, the book feels like a collection of quiet discoveries. Did you set out with a shot list, or was this more meditative process for collecting red wherever you found it speaking to you?
I started with a concept, and I had a vision, and I went down that road creating the vision. As we continued, the concept broadened a bit because like I was saying, we did some kind of like a fashion photo. And then when we got invited to London, it became more like a different kind of a documentary photo. Um, but all in all, we tried to keep the visual look very similar because I really wanted it to feel like a anthropological study, because it is a group of people that all possess this one unique gene that obviously I don't have it, but you don't have it either.
So let's talk about the technique and perspective. Red can be overpowering. How did you use a composition, focus, and light to make it the red in your photographs feel integrated and competitive rather than aggressive?
Oh, I don't see. I never took it as aggressive. I mean, one of the things I really tried to do, Daniel, is to make sure the red hair popped,
Mm,
because sometimes some people's hair is not as vibrant as others. And my goal was to really make it bright so it will pop.
mm.
And that was the goal, like make the hair stand out.
If this is the book that about without anger, what are some of the other emotions or state you hope read in these photographs evokes?
Um, there's definitely no anger, definitely no anger. I hope it evokes fun. I hope it evokes humor, fascination, studying of what makes redheads different. Um, I think it's just a fun look at people who have red hair.
Hmm.
And I
Only
think,
reader.
granted, if somebody was studying redheads like a scientist, they could find some interesting facts in there as well. But it's not scientific at all. It's really based on a little trying to add a little humor to life.
Yes. So, how do you hope the experience of lingering over these pages changes the way viewer moves to their own world to the next day?
Um, you know, hang on, you might need to rephrase that question. I'm sorry, Daniel.
So once I'm looking at the at your seeing red, what will be my impression after 2 days that?
I got you. I think hopefully you're going to remember it, and you're going to have a whole new perspective on people with red hair.
Mm-hmm.
And when you notice somebody with red hair, you're going to think, oh, you'll see they'll pop out at you everywhere. You'll be in airports, you'll be at events, and you will
Yes.
notice all the redheads, and it'll be great. And you'll say, I know something about them now that I didn't know before.
Mm-hmm. Redhead, I saw you.
Redhead. Yeah. Yeah. And then
Yes.
actually on the I don't know if you know the comedian Carrot Top, but
Mm-hmm.
he wrote the foreword for me, and we went to visit him at his home in Las Vegas. And he does a pretty funny stand-up comedy act about being a redhead. So it was fun.
It was fun indeed. Mr. Stewart, to wrap up our discussion for today, what has been the most surprising or touching reaction from someone who has spent time for your photo book?
Oh, I think get humor out of it. People who see it want to give it to anyone they know that's a redhead. And I mean, I think it's just a fun look at redheads. And I think everyone should get one. And they're totally available. Amazon.com. Seeing Red by Stewart Cohen.
Yes, people, let's about Mr. Stewart Cohen, Seeing Red, and you will fully blown what is truly Seeing Red. So, Mr. Stewart, thank you so much for your time.
Daniel, thanks for having me. It's really, really good to see you, and I appreciate it. And I hope everybody enjoys the book.
Yes, more to come, people. See you soon.
Bye-bye.